Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about Diablos and everything you need to know about his moves, what you can do in response to them, and how to tell which move he's going to do next. I'm going to put a beginner's guide at the end of this video so you can see what campsite he's closest to and where he spawns. I will be doing this for every monster in the game on my channel, so be sure to subscribe. So let's get into it. Diablos has 2 roars and 6 attacks. We're going to cover the details of how to identify each of these in just a moment. Right now, we're just going to take a look at him. His first roar allows him to transition from one area to another. His second roar allows him to attack immediately thereafter, whether by burrowing and attacking from underneath or charging you directly. We'll cover how to identify each one of these, as well as whether we can Screamer Pod or not in just a moment. Diablos' first attack is a charge. It often is accompanied by a tail sweep, which can be very difficult to know whether we can attack him from behind. Diablos also has a head scoop, which is very difficult to predict and is very fast, as well as a haymaker move, which covers a lot of area in front of him and can be very devastating. Diablos has a shoulder charge, which can be difficult to predict and to dodge, as well as having a special ability only when used in his nest, which allows him to pounce at you after entering the sands. The type of roar is indicated by the position of Diablos' head. If his head is close to the ground, that means he's going to go from one area to another. He cannot be Screamer Potted nor harm the player during this transition. If Diablos' head is high above the ridge of his body, that means he can attack shortly after roaring. This allows him to burrow or charge at the player. If he chooses to burrow, he can be Screamer Potted. Diablos' first major attack is a charge. This charge is indicated by his wings being held high above his head, and he holds them into a V shape, which can be easily telegraphed if we're looking for it. Diablos' next attack is very similar. He does a head scoop, which also has his wings high above his head, as well as whipping around almost immediately. As seen here, while walking away, he whips around quickly and then immediately charges forward. This can be difficult to dodge. Diablos also has a tail sweep. The tail sweep can be indicated by his elbows being in towards his body and his claws away from his body. He also takes a step away from his body with his right foot. The tail always sweeps from left to right and then right to left, so be sure to look out for this when approaching. Diablos has a set of haymakers that he does from left to right, and is always done by taking a step backwards with his right foot. He never can execute this move by taking a step backwards with his left foot. This is the only move that he steps backwards for. Next, Diablos also has a shoulder bash. The shoulder bash is indicated by Diablos looking at the exact direction he's going to bash, and can be done on the left side or the right side of his body. He also takes a step away from his body and slides it against the ground right before he does the shoulder bash. Diablos has a special move that he only executes in his nest. He does so by approaching the falling sands and then emerges in the same location that he started. If he burrows into the sand, he exits from the same location and does a haymaker towards a player. If he walks into the sands, he exits from the same location by burrowing underneath, attempting to attack from underground. So that is all of Diablos' moves and how to predict them. Next, we're going to cover Diablos and how to defeat him, whether solo, farming, or as a team, and what we can do in order to defeat him easily. During this fight, we should always have Screamer Pods. Screamer Pods can be fired at Diablos' location while burrowed, and causes him to be trapped much like a pitfall trap. When we first start the fight, it's important to note that there are pillars around this arena where he first spawns. If we can place one of these pillars between us and Diablos and get him to charge us, he becomes stuck, creating an attack of opportunity. This is very advantageous. It's important to understand the limitations and the tools utilized during the fight with Diablos. Understanding how your weapons work and what you can use to your advantage, even though it seems scary. I always recommend Vigor Wasp Spray. All of Diablos' attacks have a sweet spot. If you know where this is by experimentation, then it allows you to create an attack of opportunity rather than devastation. If you need a heal, fire a flash pot at Diablos. Because he's so slow moving and has difficulty tracking, it allows you to get a nice heal. Diablos is very slow and all of his moves are easily anticipated because they're so well telegraphed. All we do is set a trap in order to create an advantage that he'll easily fall prey to. If we bring a health booster, especially during stage transitions against Diablos, he always has a tendency to bring the fight to us and allows us to stand in the health booster, gaining health as the fight continues. Diablos always spawns underneath Camp 15 initially. If we head in the upper right hand corner of the wildlife map in Wildspire Wastes in the northeastern corner, we're heading to Sector 8 where these little arrows are in this opening. As we approach the northern part of Sector 8 on the northeastern part of the map, we'll see this opening where the ants are leading into. If we press circle on our approach, we'll drop down into this cave. At the end of this cave is Camp 15. We can also hang a right here, and it allows us to unlock the Gremlins if you haven't already for this area. We head towards the back where this campsite is, which will initially not be unlocked. Talk to the resource center in order to unlock it once you've discovered it. After exiting the camp, if we take a hard right, it allows us to drop almost directly on top of Diablos, because this is where his nest is. This allows us to start the fight immediately. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate you watching everything you need to know about Diablos, and I will continue to make these videos for every monster in the game. So stay tuned and be sure to like and subscribe if you want to know everything there is to know about every monster.